Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Is that good? Welcome back to the show. Yo, listen up, we back in the game. Sweep the league, we got the flame. Wanna get it to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Working the 222 and the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweep the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that. STL Music, mama, we did it. Where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Never rubber rock stats, we unite. Yeah, the best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, Rayne Fernandez.
2, 1.
Well, as you guys can tell, Derek Irvin doesn't miss anything. If you don't want to miss anything as well, go to YouTube. Search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber today. We're giving away a bunch of prizes and stuff. Be a subscriber today so you don't miss, just like Derek never misses. Subscribe to Sweep the League.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
Sweep the league TV where legends collide. If the Cowboys fall short, we'll still ride the tide. Like Jordan in the clutch or Brady's last play, we bring the fire, keeping fans in the fray. Coach Gio and Rudy calling the shots with Derek Coventry, Hall of Fame thoughts. So hit that subscribe, don't sit on the bench. Get in the game, every highlight's intense. The live stream's on till your friends don't delay. Like Kobe in the fourth, we're here to play. Sweep the League TV, where greatness resides. From the blogs at the drives till my heart's on the rise. We're all in on sports, NBA, CFB, and more for fans. By fans, it's the show you'll adore.
Oh, Sweep the League Nation. What is up, everybody? It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week already, man. It's Wacky Wednesday. It's going to be myself. It's going to be the Hall of Famer, Derek Irvin. Man, today, this is my third show for the day. We dropped an earlier one with Dr. Scott Goldman out of AIQ. You've got to check out that Sweep Unplugged. It's amazing. It's assessments of athletes, and it's going to blow your mind. Put it that way. I'm going to talk about all the kids coming up to the draft, NFL prospects, NBA prospects. This is the Sweep Unplugged you need to take a look at. Also, our very first episode of Card Collecting and Collectibles with Matt Schillen from SI.com. That's right. Sweep the League Nation is going to be part of SI.com now because we're going to be doing podcasts with Jacob Eric, who's in the chat right now, and Matt Schillen. Pretty much weekly, we're going to have a sports card podcast. Wait, we told you guys we're growing, and we're not done yet. We got a whole lot more. So be sure to check out those episodes on our YouTube page or Sweep the League TV. Hit that subscribe button. Everybody's in here right now. Sith Lord Elias right on time. What's good, Rudy? Jacob Eric throwing up them hands. We love you guys. Appreciate you joining here. Let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the Hall of Famer himself, the man that makes me look good every single time we do a show here. That is Derek Irvin. What's up, Derek?
Hey, how you doing? I don't know if that's good or bad, so I'm going to take it as good.
You know what? It's not good. It's phenomenal, man. Without you, this show doesn't go anywhere. I'm guaranteeing that, Derek. Promise you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, all is well. Another day, a lot going on in the sports world, so Hey, I'm ready to get it on.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. I didn't even realize, man. Last night we were talking and I ended up the conversation. We have CFP tomorrow. College football's tomorrow and Friday. I thought it was a weekend thing, but I forgot the NFL's got Saturday, Sunday booked for the playoffs. So, yeah, we got college football. We got to get into one of those games tonight, but we're going to go with the biggest game of the night there. It just finished. Those damn Cleveland Cavaliers, my fighting Mark Prices and my fighting Brad Daugherty's, they decided to stop the streak of Oklahoma City. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I prayed. I lit a candle, Derek. I lit actually multiple candles. I want this to be my finals preview. What about you?
Well, right now they clearly we talked about it last night. For me, they clearly the two best teams in the league. I know some people still are going to mention Boston Celtics, but if we go by right now today, they look good, man. On January 8th, 2025, Cleveland, and now I got to tell you, they're 11-0 in the Western Conference. So I guess that would answer your question if they're legit or not.
Yeah, they're legit, man. 11-0 against the Western Conference. They got a massive win tonight. Shout out to Joel Cologne. He's back. I was like, where has Joel been? Maybe Joel got lost in the fray somewhere. His back there of long hair. That's what's up, y'all. What is up, Joel? Appreciate you joining us back here. He says, just want to say, as a man, I'll eat my crow. At the beginning of the season, I said that Derrick Henry would not be good for the Ravens. Boy, was I ever wrong. He's going to own it 100%. You know what, Joel? That's a good thing about sports, man. You give your sports opinion, you give your sports take, you stand by it. Sometimes it goes through, majority of the times it will go through, but sometimes we got to eat crow. I had to eat crow on this show already a few times, so it's not a big deal, man. Appreciate you coming back here on Sweep the League. But, you know, Derek, it's kind of funny because tonight just showed how the Thunder and the Cavs are not leaps and bounds better than the league, but you can kind of tell they're pulling away from everybody in the competition. This has to be, I don't want to say, I mean, based off of injuries, the only one you have to really worry about is Chet Holmgren. But like I said, even without Chet, the Thunder look good. This just has to prove that other teams that want an opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals, they're going to have to make some moves before the trade deadline. They have to.
Well, they have until February 6th. Of course, we still got the Jimmy Butler situation hanging over our heads like a cloud. So there's a lot of teams going to have to make changes. Steph looked like he was just totally put out. If you looked at the video of him just walking around, looking at the crowd, like what's going on here? And so you got several teams. The Lakers, do they still have some things they need to address because they're still suffering on outside shooting? Several teams. Denver could use another guy like maybe a Jimmy Butler, someone of that ilk, I'll say. So there's several teams that want to be in the mix this year. Philadelphia is still a team that we have to reckon with, the Bucks. So, yeah, before February 6th, I expect a lot of stuff to jump off, and some of it's going to be very surprising.
Do you think that the Jimmy move, I mean, really, he kind of pinned himself with a corner by saying, I'm not going to re-sign, an extension with any team, is what he's saying. Now, to me, that already says, you know what, I don't think I want you, because if I'm trading for you, if I'm giving up some assets, then I expect you to be around for the long haul. Unless you're going to a team, like, let's say this, unless he's going to a Wizards team or a team, at the bottom, where you're just going to get this year out of him and then dump his salary. You don't have to worry about it anymore, which opens up more money for you in the off season. I don't see that happening at all. The only legitimate team I see is probably Phoenix, where they can send Bradley Beal back. But Jimmy wants Jimmy money. And at his age, Derek, I don't know if you can pay him prime Jimmy money right now, because I hate to say a player is never worth it. I'm not going to say that. But I think his talents aren't going to be measured with the money he's expecting, if that helps out a little bit right there.
Well, what hurts Jimmy in this situation is basically, backing himself into a corner. But if you look at Jimmy, it sounds like he wants to be paid for his playoff exploits.
Yeah.
And if you really look at his playoff exploits, they did get to a final, but they came up short. And he has been known. He's got a little playoff name now, Jimmy Buckets, and he's had a history of showing up in the playoffs, but they haven't won the big games. And when you start telling people that you only want to play certain places, that can affect the morale of the team, starting from the owners on down, and it also could tear up that locker room. So the team that brings him in, man, they're taking a gamble. As far as Phoenix, I do think that he fits fine with Phoenix, very well. But they have to figure out what they're going to do with Bradley Beal, because apparently they haven't approached Bradley Beal. And
Yeah.
out of his own mouth, he said, if they talk to him, then we go from there, basically. And
Yeah.
so it's up to these guys, James Jones, whoever it may be. If they don't want Jimmy, if Phoenix wants Jimmy, it's time to go for it. And if they don't, it doesn't look like Miami. It's interesting to see what happens when he comes off the 7-game suspension. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. But Pat Riley said he wouldn't trade Jimmy, but when a player of that caliber doesn't want to be there, I don't think you have any other option but to make something happen. And whether it's a 2-team trade or a three-team trade, I think Jimmy still will be moving on, and not and in a pretty short time.
Yeah, I honestly think that he's going to be dealt before the 7-game suspension is done. I think the way I feel, it's probably going to have to happen in the next couple of weeks. I think the move's going to be made. He's going to get dealt the way I have Phoenix number 1 as that team, because I think Bradley Beal did mention kind of off record that Miami would be a spot he would waive his no trade clause for. So I think it makes sense, but I also feel that you're right. You made a good point. They have to get a third team involved somewhere, because I don't think a Jimmy for Brad Beal is exciting for either team. You're going to have to get some draft pick compensation, something in there is what I think, because Phoenix
Rudy,
needs to protect its assets. Go ahead.
I'm gonna put on my GM hat for a minute, because I know you've been known we do that sometime.
Oh yeah, we do it a lot.
And I'm saying how simple things can be. I hear that Miami doesn't want Jimmy, but we haven't heard. He doesn't want Bradley Beal, but we haven't heard that publicly. But
Mhm.
what would you think of a Yusuf Nurkic,
There you go. There you go.
Nurkic and Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler?
That's exactly what I was thinking, because if I'm Miami, I'm all over that. But I would need a third team, because salary wise, it doesn't work. It won't work salary wise. There's no way. But unless Miami's going to send somebody along with them. But even for the salary wise, they could maybe throw in Duncan Robinson on that kind of deal. But to be honest, I guess let me put it this way. That deal is perfect, and I love it. I see everybody's comments. 210 lovers. Spurs looking good first quarter. As of right now, I've got it 33-30 Milwaukee. They're looking really good right now. They're hanging in with the Bucks. So we're going to get into more Spurs talk here in a little bit. Appreciate the update, man. Love that. Appreciate you very much. Jimmy Butler making $47 million in the next 3 years. Yeah, that's just too much right there. Is Jimmy even worth it? He's been traded several times in his career, and somehow it always ends wrong. Great point by Joel Cologne there. What I'm trying to say is, okay, so the Nurkic Beal is good. Jimmy goes back, but here's the problem I have, Derek. You're getting rid of Jimmy. You get Bradley Beal. Is there even an identity with the Miami Heat right now? Because getting Bradley Beal doesn't really make me, as a Miami fan, if I'm Pat Riley, I like it because I get a troublemaker out of my locker room. But Bradley Beal doesn't, make me feel any better and more confident that the team's going to be better. So I don't think Pat
About the
Riley's
center, you also getting another, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The reason I say that is because Bradley Beal can shoot the ball. And I don't think Jimmy's style of play really fits the Miami Heat of 2025. I think they want to be more of a fast-paced team, and they can't be that with Jimmy Butler, because we know Jimmy is not the fastest moving guy, I'll say. And then some of his one-on-one moves are not precision. They're kind of slow, And so I think it kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because you can move Bam Adebayo back to his natural position, which is power forward. And I think it would be something good for Nurkic. I think he would fit their style of play. Pretty deep roster. You still got Caleb Martin. You got is it Caleb or is it wait? You got Highsmith. You got
Yeah.
Jovic, who's been playing more lately.
Oh God, I remember you and I.
So you got a roster. You still got Jaquez. You got Tyler Hero. I feel if you add Bradley Beal, who's been a proven 20-point scorer, and then you add up Nurkic, at least some kind of rim protection against most teams, I'll say. I think right now that would at least make them a better team for the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to put them over the hump when it comes to a Cleveland, a New York, or a Boston, but I mean, it would make them better. I just felt like, Pat, Derek, Pat Riley, man. He's got to make. He's kind of like not the modern day, but the calming version of a Jerry Jones. He's got to make that impact. And if I don't know if Jimmy gives Riley that gut feeling that he likes, knowing that, to be honest, Pat kind of has the cards in his hand right now when it comes to Jimmy. He's kind of waiting for the best deal on the table, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Pat's, man. The guy cost my brother 2 MVPs in the All-Star game, so I'm not a huge fan, but he's a businessman, and that's why it's taking so long. He's going to make sure getting rid of Jimmy is one thing, but getting something of value in return is another thing. And Pat Riley's not the type of guy to just let Jimmy basically go for nothing. So they're going to milk it as long as they can. I'm sure they're on the phones today and yesterday, trying to make a deal that fits and it'll work for both teams. But I do think Jimmy doesn't want to be there anymore. He said that not only with his mouth, but also his body language. So I think they have to make a move and try to salvage this season. Because right now, if you really look at it, what better chance would you think that your team has a chance to contend? Cleveland, a lot of people still don't believe in Cleveland come playoff time, kind of like the Ravens. We'll get on that later. But, I mean, what right now is a crapshoot. So if all I have to contend with is basically the 2 teams that played tonight, Oklahoma City and Cleveland, I mean, I might want to go for that. That might put them over the Knicks, might put them over Milwaukee. That's a gamble sometimes you have to take. And I think if they're thinking that way, that's why it's taking so long. But I do still think I can't see Jimmy finishing out the season. I just don't think that works.
Yeah, I don't see him. In fact, like I said, I think in the next 2 weeks we're going to see Jimmy probably being dealt from Miami. Where it is, we have no idea right now. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. sweep the league on a wacky Wednesday edition, talking about some NBA basketball. Now, it's rare and it's weird because you and I live in San Antonio. We're Spurs fans, obviously. George Gervin, part of the family here, and we hardly ever talk about Spurs. And I'm thinking, let's give the fans a little what they want. I don't know if you were able to catch the Dan Levitard show the other day, and he was talking about Wemby. And I've got the comment here. I've got the video. So let's play the video. We're gonna talk a little Spurs, a little bit of Wemby here. So for you Spurs fans out there, it's 38-35 Milwaukee up on Spurs by 3. Get a little bit of Spurs talk. Here's Dan Levitard talking about Wemby. It surprised the hell out of me.
Very soon, we do all understand, if not injured, that Wemby is going to break all of the records. And what Wembanyama is doing through 100 games. Listen to this, Stugotz. Through 100 games.
Yep.
More threes through 100 games than Clay, than Steph, than Durant, than Irving, than Harden, first 100 games of their career. More blocks through 100 games than Shaq and Dikembe and Hakeem. More rebounds than Karl Malone and Barkley and Kevin Garnett. More points than LeBron and Durant and Wade and Duncan. He's 21. He's growing, maybe still physically. What he is going to do to the sport if he doesn't break is just break all of the records, because that is an extraterrestrial playing basketball.
So I heard that for the first time, and looking it up, yeah, this guy is on pace to just demolish records within time. And it brought up the question: you have a 7'4" guy. We've never seen longevity for players above 7'2". It's very tough. Their bodies tend to break down quicker. They tend to have a lot of back problems, leg problems, foot problems. And it's a concern and a legit concern. But thinking about it, does he still have that longevity in your mind? Or do you still have those doubts? Because personally, it's year 2. He's been okay. He's been injured a little bit, but I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen, the breakdown yet like we had in the past.
Well, I'm not really surprised because he doesn't have a big injury history over the course of the last several years when people became enamored with Victor Wembanyama. So I think he'll be okay. The timeline, I don't know because we got to see how it goes, how his body feels out, and all those kind of things as he matures in the NBA. But as far as breaking records, he'll be breaking a lot of records. He won't be breaking too many of Wilt Chamberlain's records,
No.
but he'll be breaking some records. And then, like the 3-point stuff, I don't take that serious because
Yeah.
he's not shooting as good a percentage as Steph and Clay have shot over their careers. So sometimes you take more shots. It's like Draymond has more threes than Bird, but we know Draymond is not half the shooter of Larry Bird. It's called
Yeah.
attempts. So, but Victor right now is on the right path. He's definitely made the Spurs better. I would have him in the MVP voting if they were to continue the way they're playing this year. He's gone right now. I think he's already pretty much cemented the Defensive Player of the Year. You and I talked last year about his rebounding could improve. He has improved it. It's still not consistent enough, but we've seen him take leaps and bounds already from last year, and I think he's going to continue to ascend. We'll find out what happens as the years go on when they bring in new players, like I expect next season, and we go from there. But right now, I'll definitely say he's on the right path.
Yeah, he is on the right path. He's putting up some really good numbers, some really remarkable numbers. I mean, the blocks alone is just like, holy cow, man! He's on pace to really be uh, a beautiful player for the game. We'll put it that way. Joel Colon is saying we gotta get Wimby a legitimate help, another star. It's on its way, Joel. Hopefully he's on his way, Joel. Castle is a nice piece as well as Vassell. I don't think anyone else should be untouchable trade wise. Honestly, my GM hat tells me that even a player like Devin Vassell is trade bait in a sense. I mean, if you get the right deal in front of you and it makes you a better team and you win now and it sets you up for the future, if it costs you Devin Vassell, I mean, it's a business, man. At the end of the day, it's a business. And I've been dogged so many times for saying I would take calls on Tim Duncan and David Robinson. I would take a call on Victor Wembanyama. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything. But as a GM, it's your job to take calls on everybody, no matter who it is. And in this game, I mean, if like I said, if you're offering hell, you give me Victor and I'll give who Durant and Booker and all these guys and draft picks. I mean, if you're gonna win now, you're gonna win now. It's saving your job basically. But I mean, yeah, in essence, Victor's not touchable. You can't really trade him, but I do understand that. Go ahead, Derek.
Rudy, let me ask you this quickly. What about a 2025-26 lineup consisting of Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, Jimmy Butler, De'Aaron Fox, and if they were able to hang on to Devin Vassell?
Can I be critical of it and say I like it if Vassell was your sixth man, and I would put Steph Castle in that starting five?
Well, then you can alternate, put Steph in there, but now you got Fox, you got Steph, Jimmy, Sohan, and Wembanyama as a starting unit. Is that a winning recipe?
That I can tell you right now.
Improvement, right?
That would be a massive improvement. I would have them top 6, maybe 7 in scoring, offensive rating, and probably 1 or 2 defensively, easily. I mean, I defensively, that team, that's a pest right there. That is a huge pest. If you look at the defensive rating for those guys, that would put a lot of teams back in the 80s, 90-point range, because they can definitely stop the ball, and they are definitely ball hawks on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I mean, you've got the only thing I would think you would lack on the offensive side, which maybe Devin would be better at, is shooting. But outside of that, I mean, they can attack the basket. That fast break would be tremendous for that starting five. I like it, man. I like it. I would definitely say that would be a good way to go. Problem is would Jimmy re-sign with the Spurs for long term? That's the only issue. Joel Cullen says,
Man,
I
are you
wouldn't touch
serious?
Jimmy. Yeah, with a 10-foot pole. Fox, heck yeah, he would take De'Aaron Fox, but he wouldn't touch Jimmy. And I think that's kind of what Spurs fans are talking about. They wouldn't really want Jimmy Butler. I know problems and all that stuff, but I mean,
Look,
Spurs fans
man,
are just
look, we've had players through here, man, that didn't measure up to half the player that Jimmy Butler is. And I think if you got Jimmy here, when he comes, he's only got 3 years left in his career anyway.
pretty
So if
much.
you want to gamble and win right now, you know what he would be for the Spurs? He would be like the Golden State's Draymond, as far as like the enforcer and those
Yeah.
kind of things. I think that will make it easier for Victor. You got Fox, you got Castle, who we know is a dog and only going to continue to get better, and you got Sohan, who's this era's version of Dennis Rodman. Don't
Mhm.
get it twisted. Now, I'm not saying he's Rodman all the way, but very similar his style. He doesn't worry about scoring a lot, even though he's capable of scoring. He does all the little things, even like like PJ Tucker used to be. And when you got a team like that, it takes a lot of pressure off Victor. And of course, we would have a fourth quarter guy by the name of De'Aaron Fox, who was the leading scorer in the fourth quarter last season.
Yeah. I mean, the lineup is sick. I would definitely take that lineup all day. Playoff Jimmy is for real. Yes, he is. And Tim's trying to get you on your best side every single time, Derek. He says, wait, you put Derek Gervin with Darren Fox, Jimmy Buckets, Wimby, and Champagne, and then that would be the ultimate lineup for the San Antonio Spurs.
Tim, my man. And I like Champagne, by the way. I
I
think
love
he's definitely increased his trade value. I don't even know if I want to trade him because it's a 3-point shooting era, and he shoots the ball quite well, and he defends. So if I'm really the general manager, I'm trying to do what I can. And I'm gonna be honest about this, Rudy. A couple years ago, I told you if it came down to Vassell or Keldon Johnson, that I said Vassell would be that guy out of
mm,
those two, and I still believe that. But man, I might have. It came down to having to give up Devin or Champagne. That would be a conundrum for me, and mainly because Devin has been a little banged up over the course of the last 2 years, and I wouldn't
yeah.
want to lose Champagne. So that would be something I would really have to sleep on. And who knows, at the end of the day, I might be willing to keep Champagne and send Devin somewhere else where he can contend.
You heard it here first, man. I can't disagree with that. 210 Lover. San Antonio has the best medical staff and the best medical practice facility. They do. They got one of the best medical practices, doctors and all in the NBA. So yeah, and that's another thing for Wemby. They're really good about taking care of injuries. And Wemby, I think, is he's not your typical 7'4" plus player. He doesn't do a whole lot of wear and tear on the knees, banging in the post area, like George Mirasan and Sean Bradley were all post guys. Wemby's a little bit different, so that could spell the reason why his longevity might be longer with the Spurs. Talking to Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. We come to you every single Tuesday through Friday, sometimes on Monday at 9 o'clock p.m. on our YouTube. Search Sleep the League TV. Hit that subscribe button. Sponsored by MCS General Contracting. Rudy, you know how many hours Derek and Castle would be in the gym? There's 24 hours in
A
a
lot.
day. I'm going to say 23 and a half. Derek's only taking
A,
30-minute
a
break.
lot, a lot, Tim, because that young guy, those kind of guys you want to nurture. And I
Yeah.
can see him having a really good NBA career. So a guy like that ask you to work out with him, man. There's only one answer for me, and that's a yes, emphatic yes. And so we would spend lots of time in the gym. I see a lot of good things that he can do. His 3-point shot is even getting better. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry that they sat him down, but I think that's still not going to deter him from being the player that we all expect him to be. And I see a very bright future for that young man.
Oh yeah, I really do too. And we still got some CFP. We got a CFP game tomorrow, Penn State, Notre Dame. We'll get our picks in for that later on. Also, we got a couple other things we're going to get into, but I got a caught off guard moment for you, Derek, that involves the Spurs. Let me see if it maybe rouse you up a little bit here. Let's go here. Caught off guard. Courtesy of TikTok. Here we go.
Oh, they got top 5 dynasty.
Mars, they won 50 games for 20 straight years. Mars,
didn't miss the playoffs. Oh, regular season dynasty. My bad. Regular season dynasty.
They won 5 championships in the process of doing that. Mars, that's once every 5 years.
Five championships in 15 years.
That's once every 4 years. They win the NBA championship.
No big deal, right?
And winning 20 and winning
one in every 4 years.
Year.
So they win a championship like it's the Olympics, and that's a dynasty. Like, come on, man.
Mars.
What they got? 99,
05 dynasty. What we talking
07.
about?
All right. Okay.
Top
right.
5?
03,
Let's be serious.
99, 02,
99, 03,
05,
05, 07. Well, let's just keep 14 out of it. 07, 05, 03, 99. That's not a dynasty. You're right, Mars.
No, they cool. I said how they top 5.
What are the 5 dynasties better than that?
Russell Celtics.
Go, Mars. Who?
Russell Celtics.
100% the 60s.
Mike and Lakers.
Mike and Lakers.
Oh my God.
Oh, so then tell me you just don't care about NBA history then. Showtime Lakers, Jordan's Bulls. Right? We all in agreement, right? That's 4. We're all in agreement.
Not necessarily in agreement, but keep going.
No, we're not all in agreement. Maybe you 4 are in agreement, but I'm not.
5 chips in 6 years, nah. But 5 in 20 years, yeah. So then you got pick your dynasty. The Lakers in the 2000s, the Golden State Warriors, the Bird Celtics. Pick one of those 3. Better than the Spurs.
And, we're caught off guard by that. So the dynasty, Spurs have always been considered a dynasty, whether it be championships. I mean, the 20-year run of 50-plus wins, they still get disrespect from a lot of people around the world. Ranking the dynasties, man, I mean, I don't see how I can put, 4 teams. I mean, I can't see how I leave them out of the top 5 dynasty wise. So that's why I come to, your former NBA player. You cover the game. You know a lot more of the game. You and I know the history of the game, a lot together. But coming to you about it, they've got to be in the top 5, right?
Well, let me see. You got the Lakers, and I'm not going back to the Mike and Lakers. I'm going back to the Showtime Lakers. I'm going to the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. I'm going to the Chicago Bulls, and then I'm going to the San Antonio Spurs. And that's even over the Golden State Warriors. So, yes, for me, it's a dynasty. I mean, how many teams that we're talking about won back-to-back? And the Bulls won back-to-back-to-back. So that will probably put them. And then, of course, the Celtics, even the Bill Russell Celtics, 11 out of 13 years. So those are the only teams that I could really discuss. And the Spurs are definitely in the conversation. They won back-to-back. 2000, well, not back-to-back, 2003. I'll leave out the 99. But 2003, 2005, 2007, in a 5-6 year span. To me, that's a dynasty. And then you looking at they're not losing over 32 games in any of those seasons. And we look at what they did. They're 1 shot away from being 6-0 in the finals. 1 shot, and it's so similar to me, Rudy, because if you look at this shot, when they threw it back out to Ray Allen, did it remind you of a shot that made the Spurs famous?
Oh, God.
Guy by the name of Sean Elliott with the toes up in the air, the heel up in the air.
Yeah.
People never talk about that, but I do. It reminds me of that. So we're that shot away from being 6-0 in the finals. So if we were 6-0, I think teams will be saying that's a dynasty. So I don't know why 5-1 is not a dynasty.
No, they are definitely a top 5 dynasty. I don't understand how anybody can make a case at all at them not being a top 5 dynasty. But, if you want to throw the what ifs, because remember, the Spurs technically should have 8 final appearances. I mean, they are actually, let's put it this way, 8 final appearances. They have 6, right? So they would have had 2 more because you got the Derek Fisher 0.4, and then you've got the Manu foul on Dirk.
Dirk, yeah.
Yeah, those two championship runs should have ended with them in the finals minimum. Now, would they have won those finals? Okay, if they did, that's 7 titles. And then a pop brain fart and a Ray Allen 3 is another title. I mean, forget the whole, well, they've only got 5 titles in what he said, 15 years. Yeah. No, man, there was a run that dynasty and that Spurs team was damn near unbeatable, and they beat themselves. I mean, Manu foul and Dirk, they beat themselves. The Ray Allen thing, they beat themselves. And the Derek Fisher 0.4, that's the Trent Tucker rule, brother. Come on, that's the Trent Tucker rule. I mean, it just so happens you change that rule after the fact. But okay, we'll give you Derek Fisher that one. But now I'm surprised everybody. Hopefully they caught the Trent Tucker reference there. But the thing is that the Spurs are a dynasty. There's no doubt about that. So we had to do that there, man. We got to get those caught off guard moments. Tim wants us to debate the 96 draft and the 85 draft starting lineup like we did last night. We definitely will get into that. We'll get into that tone for you, Tim. Joel's, are the Patriots a dynasty for winning 6 and dominating for 20 years? Yes, they are. So the Spurs, and anyone arguing against that is not a serious person. I mean, yeah, to me, a dynasty is titles, but when you dominate, and even he got upset when they said, "Oh, regular season, everything." I mean, you're dominating everything, and you could have a slip up in the playoffs. It happens. It happens to the best of them. So yeah, Spurs dominated. 50 plus wins in 20 years. Tim Duncan should be, goated just from the fact that he never had a losing season. He always made the playoffs. Something that not even a lot of the greats did, to be honest with you.
Everybody in the world knows about Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know about these teams that don't have dynasties. They know about some of the players, but everyone in the world that's been associated with basketball knows those 3 guys, and because they know what they brought to the table every single game and every single year. And if you can win 5 out of 6 titles in 15 years, 5 out of 6 times you go out of 15 years, first of all, you're making it there 40% of the time. And then you're winning when you get there. To me, that's definitely a dynasty.
Yeah, you'll never get an argument out of me. And that's without even mentioning that the early 2000s West was a gauntlet. West was tough back in the day, man. It was super duper tough way back in the day. That's our Spurs talk for today. We like to sprinkle it in every now and then. Don't give you a whole lot of Spurs talk. We like to cover everything and anything. So when we get back, we got some CFP talk that we got to talk about. Notre Dame, Penn State. I'm gonna make a bold prediction on this game, and it has nothing to do with the game. It has to do with the player. What player is that going to be? You'll find out when we get back. It's Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting. Building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Wimby breaks NBA record, man. He ain't done yet. This guy is from out of this world. He's gotta be an alien. What is going on? Oh my goodness, this guy is really gonna be special. Ain't nothing to it. up the stairs, real pain, no fear. We steady making it clear. I'm the captain, nice to meet you, but I make chess moves, no snooze. Bless you, we turning the impossible to possible. Doing what we do, call me Wemby, alien, flow too quick. You can't see me, just saying. The only thing lit is your season. Come see me, trust me, we too lit.
You are watching Sweep the League TV. Make sure you subscribe and catch our new videos.
Sweep the League TV with Rudy, Derek, and Coach Kia. Let's get back to the live show. You are watching the best in the business.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sweep the League. Wemby the Future has been released. It's out wherever music is available, part of STL Music's program. That's Wemby the Future, was released on New Year's Day 2025. So go out and get it, download it now. Shout out to MCS General Contracting, again, proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Derek, we've got CFP tomorrow. And the very first game that we're going to have to talk about, we'll cover the Longhorns and Ohio State Buckeyes tomorrow night, is the Nittany Lions of Penn State going up against the Fighting Rudy Rutgers of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Here, I like the matchup here. I really don't think the national title championship is going to come out of this game right here. I still think the winner is going to be between Ohio State and Texas, but you know, Franklin from Penn State made a very interesting comment during that press conference saying that he feels that all teams should play a conference title game in order for them to get into the playoffs, or no one plays a playoff game. I mean, no one plays a title conference game. You just kind of go with records and records in, records out. Do you feel, and again, he said it was no disrespect to Notre Dame's coach at all. No disrespect to him at all. But do you feel the same way? I kind of feel like Notre Dame being an independent helps them more than anything. And I do understand where he's coming from. I would like to see Notre Dame in the conference, but is it that big of a deal?
Well, looking at the playoff this year, and I don't really think the conference is a big deal. I think records matter. And we saw that how some people were upset with Boise State and Arizona State being in the Final Four, you know, one of the first 4 seeds. And I don't know, man. People just want to see good competition. And I think the records overall, and as we know now, strength of schedule is what more teams are going to be focused on. So the way the game is changing right now and moving forward, I don't really think we need those conference championships and taking a chance of getting someone injured and then they're out of the bowl games. I'd rather just get to the bowl games, to be honest about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably one thing I don't mind. You know, taking a week off a little extra early, no conference title. If you're the best team in the conference, you're the best team in the conference, and kind of do it like the NFL does in pro ball. If there's a tie at the end of the year, conference record, you know, who has the better conference record. If not, you know, percentage of this, percentage of that, they can figure it all out. There's really no need for conference titles anymore. NIL is going to really kill a lot of stuff. That could be one of them there because, I mean, hell, Derek, you already got players not wanting to play in bowl games because they want to transfer or they want to go pro and they want to do this and that. So as much as I love NIL because players are getting paid, it's also a very tough thing to go through. But nonetheless, you got Notre Dame, you got Riley Leonard, you got Penn State, you got Drew Aller at quarterback for both teams. I'm going to make a bold statement here right now. I'm giving everybody my Colin Cowherd statement right now, if everybody wants to listen. And that is if Drew Aller declares for the draft, which I think he might, he will be the second quarterback taken after Cam Ward, not Shedeur Sanders. I've looked at the film. I've studied it lately. This kid is the real deal. I'm not talking Daniel Jones real deal. So Gio can't give me crap about that. I'm talking Drew Aller, to me, is the real deal. So that's my bold statement. Notre Dame, Penn State, Derek, are you going to maybe go on the Penn State side of things? Are you going to try to maybe go with Riley Leonard and the Fighting Irish? Which way is Derek Gervitz swinging on this game?
Well, I've talked about these two teams all season, and I didn't figure they'd be meeting up, but here we are. Winner goes to the finals, basically. That's just been a tough one for me, but I'm going to go Notre Dame. I think they're more physically intimidating than Penn State, and I think they're going to get after Penn State on both sides of the ball, and I think they're going to dominate the line of scrimmage more so than Penn State. So, hey, I'm going Fighting Irish.
Yeah, you're going Fighting Irish. You know, I want to go Fighting Irish. I think I'm going to go Penn State. I'm going to go Penn State. I don't know, man. Drew Allers, he impressed the hell out of me, and he continues to press the hell out of me. I'm going to go Ben State. We kind of got opposite picks on this game tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. Winner takes on either Ohio State or Texas, which, again, the national champion, I feel is going to be one of those two teams. I mean, Ohio State. Let's get it a little bit hyped up for when we talk about it tomorrow. You have the best offense, passing offense in Ohio State against the best passing defense in Texas. Something's got to give. You have damn near three top round picks on Texas' side of the ball. Jadae Barron is going to be a first round pick if they're smart. If teams are smart, he's going to be a first round pick somewhere in there. The other two guys, I mean, they're could easily go top two, but Ohio State has two receivers that could easily. One of them it can't go in the draft for a couple of years, but you know, Emeka Egabua, and I messed up his name. I know I did, but he's a first round pick as well. He should be. I mean, the game's going to be a classic game. I can't wait for Friday night. So that's the preview. Derek's taking Notre Dame. I'm taking
Rudy.
Go ahead, buddy.
I heard you say that Texas has a good running game, right?
They do have a good running game. They have to use it, but they do have a good running.
Well, as you also know, Ohio State has a really good run defense.
Yep.
So something's going to have to give. And I still have questions about McEwers, kind of like I do about Carson Beck. When you make him get back in the pocket and have to throw the ball, or sometimes you get him on the run. I still think that those are his weaknesses. And I think Notre Dame's going to exploit his weaknesses. You and I both picked Texas to win the championship, but going by how they've been playing these last several weeks, Ohio State looks like the best team right now. And I would favor them a little bit over Texas. I just think they're going to punch Texas in the mouth early. And, yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Yeah, you're picking Ohio State early. I'm gonna stick with the Longhorns. I'm gonna stick with the Horns. Ohio State's playing magnificent right now, but if we're making our picks early, I'm definitely gonna take the Longhorns. So you and I are gonna be on opposite sides of the field when it comes to college football this weekend, which I love very much, man. I love when you and I are on opposite sides of the field. Makes the games fun to watch. We get to cover them normally like we do. Talking to Derek Gervin, Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr., and you know, there was a subject, man, that I really wanted to get into it with you because it's a sore subject for a lot of people these days, and it deals with Steph Curry. And you talk about the point guard position. He's all-time point. I've even seen today. Well, if you're talking about all time, Steph Curry is the all-time point guard. Well, no, he's not. He's really not a point guard. And I got a couple of videos talking about it. But also there's a video that I want to show you as well that talks about Steph not being generational. To me, that was kind of like, okay, we got to get some opinions on that. Steph Curry talk coming up here. But before we get in, you and I talked about WNBA players. I don't know if you know Kara Reynolds in high school right now, getting ready to go play for Purdue. Did you see the stat line that she had recently?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a quintuple double? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I could
quintuple double, yeah.
Quintuple double, which to me is really crazy. And I'm going to bring it up on here. I had some highlights for it, but I think what we'll do is we'll just bring up the actual stat line because the stat line itself is just super duper crazy and goes to show, man, that the WNBA it's right around the corner. 14 points, and she stands, I think, 6'4", if I'm not mistaken. 14 points, 18 rebounds, 12 assists, 11 steals, and 10 blocks for a high schooler. She will be attending Purdue University. Yeah, this is going to be a kid to be reckoned with if she continues on this path, Derek.
Well, hopefully, Rudy, because we got to look at also we got to factor in the competition a lot of times when we see stats like this. So I don't want to anoint her yet, but she's definitely been putting in work. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's who you play whoever's on the schedule. Yeah, but playing who's on the schedule doesn't always tell what level of player you really are. And so I'm going to wish her well. Going to a really good school, that's for sure. Be up there with the Boilermakers, and I'm going to wish her well. And those stats are fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy stats. And if you can see right there, Wilt on the side, his game, which again, I don't understand how there's no video of it from, you still had videos from back in the day. I don't know where the video is for that, but apparently it was 53 points, 32 boards, 14 assists, 24 blocks, and 11 steals. Those are video game numbers if it happens. So I need the video. I need the receipts, as the kids call it, Derek. But yeah, that's Kyra Reynolds. So talking about Steph, and the reason why we talked about Kyra Reynolds was because of the Steph talk coming up. And Joel had mentioned Steph's shooting and accuracy is generational, but in his opinion, he's the reason teams are missing 75 threes a game because every kid thinks they can shoot like him and they can't. Let's get into some videos real quick here. Here's the talk about Steph and the point guard position, and then after that, we'll get into the generational talk.
Is Steph a point guard or is he a shooting guard? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. What is he, Dre?
I think people asking is Steph a point guard or a shooting guard is a compliment to Steph because of how well he shoots the basketball. Quarterbacks read coverages, point guards read coverages. The amount of coverages that Steph has had to read, Bron has not seen, Kobe has not seen, MJ has not seen. There is not a person in NBA history that has seen the amount of defenses and different type of coverages that Steph Curry has seen. And to navigate that, still average almost 7 assists per game on a career. I'm averaging 7.5, 8. I'm averaging those assists off of him making a quick read and getting me the ball and then allowing me to do what I do. But the quarterback still had to hit me on the route, right? No question he's a point guard. But it's the ultimate compliment because you're so great at a thing that they want to make you that other thing.
We'll respond to that first because I got lost in the whole Draymond talk, and I was like, how do I explain this? Put it this way. I'm gonna let you get on the Steph Curry point guard, shooting guard talk here.
Well, I've told you on many occasions that it's not going to be any different this time. Steph is not a point guard, and perfect timing as well. How many assists did he have last night? 0.
0. Yeah.
0. How many point guards they go through 30-something minutes and have 0 assists? And I like what Draymond was saying about Steph, but navigating through all those defenses doesn't make you a point guard. And if you look at Steph, a lot of times when he's navigating through these defenses, he's doing it on the move, like a Reggie Miller, a Klay Thompson, a Rip Hamilton, those kind of guys. So that's what you usually do for scores. I don't hear too many teams or see too many teams that talk about they worried about Steph Curry beating them as far as running an offense. They talk about him shooting the ball and his shooting range. And for me, I got a brother that's been in the Hall of Fame as a shooting guard. And if you look at what Steph does first, that's shooting guard. And Rudy, you even heard Draymond just say it himself. Didn't he just say he averages more assists than Steph?
Yes, he did.
So who has the ball more in their hands to facilitate? That's Draymond Green. So that right there tells me he answered the question for me. Steph is a great player, has been throughout his career, but Steph point guard is not what he is. James Harden is playing point guard right now. And we've also seen James Harden as a shooting guard. And I know what a shooting guard looks like to me. And Steph Curry looks like the version of a shooting guard similar to Allen Iverson.
Yeah, and it's crazy because if you really listen to Draymond talk to Penny Hardaway on that podcast, it does feel like he's dancing around the question. That he's trying to say that Steph is a point guard without saying he's not a point guard. Because I mean, why would you say, "Well, I have the ball in my hand more times, and I have the more assists than Steph," but he is a point guard. I mean, he's kind of dancing around the question. So I really feel deep down that Draymond even feels that Steph is a shooting guard, and he knows that he just doesn't want to come out and say it.
How often it's rare that you even really see Steph as the one bringing the ball down against competition 94 feet. He's usually pushing the ball off to Draymond or whoever it may be to bring up the floor. The Golden State Warriors right now, the current team, they don't have a point guard. They had one last year by the name of Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And Draymond is a forward who facilitates for them. But he's not a point guard, a traditional point guard. Steph is definitely not a traditional point guard. From all my years of watching him, he was more of a point guard in college at Davidson. Now he's more of a shooting guard, and that's what I've seen him as all his career, and that won't change for me. I watched Magic Johnson play, Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, Isaiah Thomas. I can go on, and I don't put Steph Curry in that bracket. I put him more over there with my brother and Jordan and Kobe and those guys as far as stroking that basketball.
So let's put you on the hot seat now. Where would you rank him shooting guard wise?
Man, that's a tough one. I would have to put him in the top 5. I mean, I don't know. I have to go back and look, and I would have to really study that because he only has, and you hear people talk about awards, right? He only has one Finals MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to factor that in like they do when it comes to my brother. I hate to keep bringing him up, but we're talking about the way it is.
Yeah.
There's certain guys they don't give the credit that they deserve because they didn't win multiple championships or multiple MVPs. So I would have Steph up there with George and Kobe and Dwayne Wade, of course. You got Steph. Some guys leave out Clyde Drexler, but we're talking about shooting guards. I would have Clyde in there as well. So I would have to put him in a hat basically and shake up the hat and pull out numbers, and that includes when it gets to Steph.
That'll be a talk you and I have one afternoon like we normally do because we got to do our research on that. But yeah, we'll rank him there. Before we go, we got one more Steph video. This is generational talk. It kind of surprised me. I don't know if you saw it, but if not, here it is.
But to be real, how many teams have won without generational talent?
Steph is not a generational talent. Detroit.
Steph Curry.
Steph is not a generational.
Steph not a generational.
You know what a generational? Wemby is a generational person. That is a generational talent.
Steph became
a great. Generational means you can't mimic it. You can't mimic. You can't
mimic at number 1.
Well, you said you can't. Can you mimic Magic Johnson, 6'9" point guard with the vision? No. You can't mimic Shaquille O'Neal's body.
Kareem
you can't mimic fucking LeBron James. You can't mimic Wemby. Those are generational.
I agree.
It only comes once every. Right. So there's only 5 or 6.
Kill is based on like physical
traits.
Okay.
Physical traits is generational. Like somebody.
So the talk of generational, I've always told you, and I've told the audience for Sweep the League Nation, I don't use generational very often. I still haven't used it for Wemby. It's getting there, but I have a higher standard, in my opinion, only when I talk about generational talents. And when it comes to Steph, I always hear the same thing about the kids and everybody. Hey, quickest shot, great shooter, yada yada. I've seen this before. I've seen the exact same thing before. So to me, if I've seen it already, it's not generational. And I agree with Gilbert and Rashad McCants on that.
Well, I don't know where you've seen it before. Steph, I haven't seen a guy that can shoot the ball with range off the dribble. like he does. I've never seen that in my life. Trey Young and those guys can shoot. Dame would be the closest thing, but Dame doesn't have the consistency of doing it night after night after night like Steph. Man, generational, that's a strong one for me because I've never heard my brother be called generational, and I haven't seen anyone that plays anything like him since he's been out of the league, and I don't think I ever will again. So I don't know. For me, that's a tough question, but the reason I would say Steph is generational is because if you look at the game today, a lot of this is because of Steph Curry, and I don't blame him for these people that can't shoot threes, but they jacking them up anyway. That comes with the coaches and whoever may be the upper management. But I would say generational as far as doing something we've never seen before, shooting the ball from 35, 40 feet off the dribble. For that, I would say generational. Overall, for me, I'm not going to call a guy that's won one Finals MVP generational.
Yeah, it's tough for me to use the generational word for Steph Curry, but again, I mean, generational, man, it's hard for me. I rarely use that type of word. I rarely use it for anybody, and I guess I just have standards that are just way too high in my opinion for me. I mean, I guess I'm a hard person to impress, I guess.
Your opinion is not really that it's not off because if you look at it, if there were other guys, and they're going to be as time goes on, that's a shooting amount of threes that Steph shoots. The question is, would coaches allow them to do that? Just like it was a question whether Mark Jackson didn't turn Steph loose like that. Steve Kerr did. So he got in the right situation. And if someone else were to get in that same situation, which I think will happen in the near future, when I say near future, I don't mean next year or two, but there are going to be some other guys, like you said, that can shoot the ball off the dribble like that because that's all they're practicing today. And I think if Steph did it, yeah, someone else will be able to do it eventually. So yeah, I won't call him generational. I'll just say right now, shooting that jump shot off the dribble from 35, 40 feet, that's generational. But there'll be someone comes along that possibly could do it. I'm not going to say at a higher clip, but maybe on that same level. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't call him generational. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him generational. And the thing that the range, you're right. I will say the range is generational. I haven't seen that in the past, but coming off screens, curling off screens, getting off that jump shot quick. I mean, we've mentioned it before. Drazen Petrovic is a guy that had a very
Reggie
quick
Miller.
range. Reggie Miller's another
Ray
one.
Allen, Reggie Miller. There's several guys we can name for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's and that's why I've seen
Curry.
Del Curry's another one. Yeah. I mean, there's guys that we've seen already like that. But as far as the range goes, if you want to talk generational range consistently, okay, I will not argue with anybody on that sense right there. So we had to get that talk in. It's been a while. What's up?
Hey, last question for you. When Gilbert says about Shaq being generational, does that tell you, and I know you're young, you're a lot younger than me, does that tell you that he never saw Wilt Chamberlain play?
Tells me he never saw Wilt. He never studied Bill. He never studied Moses. I mean,
well, when they talk about how dominant Shaq was around the basket and all that, I think they need to go look up again these same highlights you were talking about, what you were talking about earlier, the stats. 53 points, 32 rebounds, and whatever, 24 blocks or whatever it was. So I wouldn't necessarily call Shaq generational if we were going to call one of the two generational. And I won't use the word Superman, but I'll use super Wilt. Wilt Chamberlain would be the one I would call generational. Could run the floor, high jumper, could play volleyball, could do it all. That would be my definition of generational. Wilt Chamberlain over Shaquille O'Neal.
And he also starred next to Arnold Schwarzenegger in Conan the Barbarian.
He could do it, man. Could do it all, man. For a 7-footer, I mean, wasn't much he could do.
You know
that he couldn't do. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You know the pushback that I hate, Derek, so much when talking about a Wilt Chamberlain. So you compare Shaq to Wilt Chamberlain. Well, Shaq is generational. What about Wilt? Well, you can't really call Wilt Chamberlain generational because the next guy as tall as him was Bill Russell, and after that there was no other big guys to stop him. I hate that because you're penalizing a guy for being in an era where height wasn't there. Obviously, the training wasn't there. You know, when Shaq was here, you had Robinson, you had Olajuwon, you had Ewing, you had big boys in the paint. When Wilt and Russell were playing, I mean, back then they weren't. I don't think they were in the Mikan era, but I mean, you only had a few big guys, so
They
you
had
can't
some big men
penalize
though,
them.
Rudy.
What's that?
They had guys like Walt Bellamy. They had big guys back there that
Yeah.
could play the game. You just don't. They just not as popular today because, as you know, they don't talk about the old school. But yeah, no, Wilt had some competition back there. It wasn't just Bill Russell. Bill just happened to be on the best team. But there were some other guys that could play really well back there that Wilt had to contend with, like a Nate Thurman. There were guys that was tough in that era, but I mean, he was head and shoulders above everyone else as far as individual talent, and Bill Russell was head and shoulders above everyone else as far as bringing a team together, that kind of talent. So for me, Wilt was definitely generational. I don't think I'll ever see anything like him again. We might see something like Shaq if Zach Edey keeps getting better. But that's another story.
Oh man, Zach Edey, a guy that I didn't think his game would transition to the NBA unless he got on the right team, and he's on the right team. He's on the perfect team right now with Memphis. And Joel called at the end of the show saying basically half of the NBA rulebook is because of Wilt. Now that's generational. True fact, man. You know, before we go, Derek, I want to ask you a Wilt Chamberlain question. We're gonna end the show on a question here. Better Chamberlain, is it Philly Chamberlain or Laker Chamberlain?
For me, it's Laker Chamberlain because at that time he had learned how to win. And, you know, when he was playing for Philly, he was more athletic and all that, but he wasn't bringing the guys around him. He wasn't necessarily, I won't say wasn't making them better, but not to the point where they could contend with a team with 7, 8 Hall of Famers on it. And so sometimes he doesn't get the credit he deserves because they weren't beating Boston. But he was on a hell of a team because I even know one of the guys personally that he played with by the name of Wally Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And Wally was back in that era playing, you know, there were some other guys that he had on his team that were really good players, Hal Greer. But they just couldn't contend with the Celtics with all those guys they had. So, I mean, Wilt was phenomenal, man. You know, the game is going to continue to evolve, but I don't believe there ever be another Wilt Chamberlain. Videos or no video.
No video, whatever. There's never going to be another Wilt Chamberlain. But I guarantee there's one thing that will be. There will be more Sweep the League later on this week as well. As we got more coverage tomorrow. We'll break down a little bit more of the Texas Ohio State game coming up on Friday. We've got playoff weekend coming up. We're going to hit up on those playoff games as tomorrow, as well as Saturday and Sunday is going to be filled with football stuff galore. We're going to get into more playoff talk, more college football. We'll do some NBA talk. Maybe cover a little bit about the Spurs tomorrow with the Milwaukee Bucks because there's going to be movement in the NBA. Do we really think the Spurs are going to be a part of it? We'll tackle it tomorrow for you Spurs fans out there. But for now, go check out Sweep Unplugged. Again, we had a great episode launched today. We had the first collectible and card episode launched today. It's all on our YouTube. Search Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber. Derek and I, we're working on some stuff, which I got to get with Derek tomorrow, actually, as a matter of fact. What do you got?
You see this here?
I do.
My water. Tomorrow night, there'll be a lot of O'Doul's beer being drank.
Uh-oh.
Let's go Fighting Irish!
He's calling it down, man. He's got the Fighting Irish going for the win tomorrow, and I got Penn State, the Nittany Lions. Oh, my God. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, but nonetheless, you guys want to keep in contact with us at Sweep the League. You got to make sure you follow us because there's a lot going on. We're going to be announcing. We got a lot that we're going to be working on. Like I said the other night, you might be seeing Derek and I a lot more. So once we get stuff nailed down, we're already growing, and we're growing even faster. It's not even funny. So until we do the show again tomorrow, everybody be safe. It's supposed to be raining tomorrow. It's supposed to be cold. The streets might be a little slick. Please be safe. We want to see everybody here back tomorrow night, safe and sound with us on Sweep the League. So for Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again, we'll see you later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.
Some are born with silver spoons in their mouth. I was born without a house and the access is south in your mouth. Might get fixed and say some slick shit, but please know we known for fights and clips and shit we slick with. It's story time, I sound like Slick Rick, but the animals get mad at you, emotions turn tangible, and then I hope your cats can move, or fully automatic getting emptied out and taking half of you. Don't hold your nose. Exclusive interviews with Rudy and the crew. Let's go.
Are you a hockey fan looking for the latest on the Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and NHL news of the week? Barry and Carson Best bring it all to you on the Best Boys Center Ice podcast. They break down games, provide insider updates, and keep you up to speed every week. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and join their hockey family.